Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of Couple of Nukes. As always, I'm your host, Mr. Whiskey, and today's episode is what I would call uncanny, non-traditional. I don't know how to describe it, but my first ever cruise guest, not from the work cruise. So to give you some context, there was a cruise called the Podcasters Cruise, which got rebranded into the New Media Cruise. That's under the guidance of Captain Neely. And while on that cruise, which took place on the Celebrity Beyond, I met a lot of people, including today's guests, who were such an interesting pair of people that I was like, I want to have them on the show because the lifestyle that they're currently living is one that I've heard about, never really seen in person, and it's one I may do myself, and I would love to unpack it for everyone listening so that maybe you can start to spoil it, traveling the world on a budget. So, y'all are here, and I'm not even going to give your names. I'm going to let you go ahead and introduce yourselves because I'm sure y'all are pretty used to introducing yourselves to people as you've met a lot of people in your travels.
Great. So my name is Cookie Mallets, and this is,
Brody.
and we began this journey uh, back about 3.5 years ago. And I'll let Bob tell you why we began the journey.
Ooh, this could be tough. So on March 22nd of 2022, I was a baby of four boys, and I say I was, because my oldest brother passed away. He was 79, and we were the closest of the brothers, in my opinion. And it was just a shock. He was still working, had his own company, he was in digital stuff, what all that is, starting companies with his son again, buying them, selling them, buying them back. And it was a very interesting life. I loved him and looked up to him and stuff because he helped me a lot in my early years of being an adult and stuff. And he just dropped dead. He called his wife. He said, I'm going to lunch. She said, I love you. He walked into Panera's and hit the floor and just
Wow.
cardiac arrest, which in one thing was good because he didn't even know what happened and stuff. And this was in Connecticut, and we were living in Florida. And of course, it was a crazy nut trip to get there with doing what we're doing, with only summer clothes at that point, getting to Connecticut and some things. It was a nightmare, actually, for things that happened during the trip. And on the way home, and stuff because we love to travel. We were doing mostly just car trips, actually, and a lot of cruising. And like looked at each other and say, why are we sitting here? You know, you could go anytime. We're not in control of that. And that's what started this journey of not having a home. But I'll let Cookie tell you all about that.
So both of us as young adults in our late teens, early 20s, did a lot of crazy traveling. We traveled on our own, and it was pretty intense. We had a great time as kids. So life took over, and we didn't travel as much, either one of us. So we made this decision, and we uh, have two Social Security checks and a very small pension. Uh, and sometimes we go over a little, but it's all under control. We got a timeshare that happened crazily. And pretty much everything in our life is based on one word. So Bob and I actually met 10 years ago, 10 and a half years, a little over 10 years ago, on a
September
ridiculous,
26th. I remember the date.
we
Good
met on
man. Good,
Tinder.
good.
We met on Tinder.
Really?
And
Really?
yes, it cracks everybody up. We met at Starbucks in the Bronx. And
Huh.
after 3 hours of talking, Bob jumps up and he says, oh my God, I only have a 2 hour meter.
And the word was working. Oh my God.
Yes. So we run to the car and there's no ticket.
which in New York is very unusual.
Right. They're usually out there a minute
Native.
before is the thing is up.
Right.
So there's a word in Hebrew called b'shet. B'shet is meant to be. Well, I taught Bob this word. I said, well, I guess it's b'shet. And he looked at me, he said, well, I'd like to see you again. I said, okay. He said, what are you doing tomorrow? And I went,
Hey, we weren't young.
so we spent the day together. And we have spent, there have been two or three times where we've spent almost a week apart, maybe. And one time when I went on a girls' trip um, and, but other than that, we've been pretty much inseparable. During the beginning of COVID, we were in a 700 square foot apartment. And people went, if they can make it through that, uh, then they're set. And we did. But we then decided to move down to Florida. Um, but yeah, so that's how we started this journey. And everything that's happened, it's funny, you had mentioned something about rainbows. So one of my children's names is Noah. And I
Mm,
always say to people, that's why I love rainbows, or I love rainbows, and that's why he's Noah. And they go, I don't get it. And I'm like, how do you not get it? Rainbows, the ark, Noah, so I look for if somebody comes into a ship, and on the Beyond they did that. Somebody came in and said, "There's a rainbow." I will
right.
run outside with my phone and take a million pictures. And when there's a double one time I saw a triple rainbow,
Yeah, that's a
which
beautiful rare sight for sure.
I mean, it's just amazing to see. So, rainbows are very important to me. I will always look for a rainbow. Uh, but I believe that philosophically too. I believe you can look for the rain and the storm, but if you don't look for the rainbow afterwards, you're missing the whole point of it. So, so that's how we got started. Um, in the meantime, we have done two trips to Australia, New Zealand, Bora Bora and stuff. We do go to the casino. We play just enough so that they offer us free cruises. And
Like you got in, what did you say? Playing
Right.
roulette.
Roulette. I just showed
They
up
want you
and
back.
played it for the first time and because normally I play craps and I found roulette was a lot easier and it was just more fun. But I also really like craps. I like both. I mean, both are kind of, chance games. I mean, almost all of gambling is, but it was just it just is how it was. And they bring you free drinks the whole time that I don't know if they actually have alcohol in them or not. It might just be I think it's just a placebo effect. You're in a casino, you're winning money. Here's your free drink, sir. Here's your free drink, sir. Here's your free drink, sir. I would tell them, no,
Yeah.
I'm good. I don't want anything. And then they would just bring me straight bourbon with no ice, nothing. Like, here for you, Mr. Whiskey. We know you like it. I was like, oh, all right. I mean, I said no,
Can I
but I'll
tell
take
you a
it.
crap story?
Oh, 100%,
Yeah,
100%.
so I love craps. If I win money at another table, I like to give it back at the craps table. It's the adrenaline flow is insane. So Cookie likes to play once in a while also. So we're on a ship actually, and it was Cookie's turn to roll. And I said to the croupier, be careful, keep an eye on her because you don't know where the dice are going to go. Well, he did not listen to me because she's got something with her elbow.
my elbow's reversed.
She throws the dice and she nailed him right in the middle of the forehead with it. He wasn't too injured.
Everybody was roaring.
It was
Yeah.
unbelievable. But
Uh,
yes, I agree with you about craps.
They say,
Okay.
I guess you took it quite literally when they said shoot the dice. They meant roll it. You don't actually shoot it at someone.
They
But
just said shoot the croupier.
yeah, yeah, it's No, but it was funny because we had a guy try to roll the dice with a drink in his hand, and he said, "No, no drinking and driving, no drinking and driving. You can't be driving and steering this whole table while drunk." So
Well,
yeah, it's just frustrating. It's how everything in life goes. I bet on hard six, which for those who don't know, you have to both die have to be on exactly three. Bet on it, nothing, nothing, nothing. I finally don't put a bet on it and I throw, and guess what I get? Of course. It's just you can't make it up. It's just
You got to be consistent in these games.
I'm betting
it
in the
is called
field and
gambling.
yeah. But it's
It
like
is.
sometimes it just blows your mind. We had this chick show up to the table, rolls a five three times in a row. We have a person rolls a seven three times in a row. It's like, how does it happen sometimes? It's just and even roulette, sometimes you'll get the same number multiple times in a row, and you're like, This statistically, this should be like impossible."
There
Yeah.
was we were on a cruise ship, and we were, of course, in the casino, and I was playing Ultimate Texas Hold'em, and the
That's
dealer was
expensive.
dealer.
It was a
And
$5 table, thank
Oh,
goodness.
okay.
we were
It's like
playing
a
against
on the ship we
everybody.
were on, it's like $100 a hand,
Well, that yeah. So we're playing. It wasn't that much, not even half of that. But so Ivan was the dealer, and I got a royal flush with him being the dealer, and a $5 bet paid 3,000. So later we're back at Ivan's at the roulette at the.
Yeah, relax.
I was at the roulette table,
Yeah.
and Ivan says, "You got to play my birthday." So I put down the normal numbers and Ivan's birthday. And what do you think hit?
What?
Ivan's
Ivan's
birth.
birthday.
So
Should have put
if he
down
plays
double or
roulette, he
triple.
always puts.
Ivan's birthday. I put it sometimes on the lottery tickets. Superstition for gamblers is very big.
Oh yeah,
That's for sure.
we had this gentleman, he was betting on the number 26 all day. He would put like he would put 30, 40, 50, $70 on it every single turn. And about 3 hours in, finally it hit and he won a lot of money and he went crazy. The whole casino went crazy because
Yeah.
I mean, this was like day five of betting on the same number, and it's just when it happens, it happens. It sometimes you just decide to throw some cash on a number at random, and then it hits, and you're like, oh, okay. But it's interesting for
We're
sure.
the drinkers they don't like. Our big drinks are coffee, or I drink tea, he drinks coffee, water, and seltzer.
It's over for our gamblers.
Yes, but I mean, we don't, for health reasons, and don't drink very much. But it's just always funny because after you've been in a casino for one or two times, obviously I always tip the waiter, but they'll come over. You want
These Apple Watches, sorry.
they come anyway. They'll come up and they'll give us You want two seltzers? Yeah, yeah. You want two waters? Yeah, yeah. You want two or four waters? People are looking, going, that's all you drink is water? Going, it's fine. I need my water. I'm perfectly
Right.
happy with that. You're happy with your drink? I'm happy with my drink.
Right,
So,
exactly.
but what we did is we made these little cards. You've seen the card that we made, because we have a goal in life. For me, leaving my job was very difficult. I'm a type A personality. You know, I'm like a bull in a china shop. When I'm working, I go straight this way and I hire people who pick up the pieces along the way. That's what I did my whole life. Um, so leaving that was very difficult. I didn't have a purpose. And I tried coaching. My daughter suggested coaching a
Wait.
weight loss program. I tried that. It just wasn't me. That's not what I'm interested in. This has been exciting because what we did say on our little card is our goal is to hear other people's story and share ours. Because maybe from sharing ours, somebody will be inspired to do more. We we like to talk to people. We like to hear. what their perspectives is. We try not to talk politics very much, but we don't cut off the conversation. The idea is we, both of us, believe that conversation is essential. People just, it's what's missing with a lot of technology. Um, it's missing for kids. Uh, the summer camp industry was fascinating because maybe 20 years ago, they made the decision to not allow cell phones at camps because they felt it was important for children to learn to talk to each other and staff to have that conversation. And it's amazing how many people don't do that. We we are of the inkling that we can start conversations with people. There are lots of things. Now, when I was a young woman, believe it or not, because on stage I could do whatever I wanted, in person was a little harder for me. And I read the book, How to Succeed in Business Without Really Trying, I think is what it's called. Andrew Carnegie, I think. And one of the things it talked about, and I went to some workshops and stuff, is how do you start conversations? And I learned this in my 20s, and I have kept this and given this to other people. And it's the who, what, when, where, why. If you're ever stuck for a conversation, and there are many people who get to a social situation and they don't know what to say because it might be a bunch of doctors and they're not a doctor. It might be a bunch of lawyers and they're not a lawyer. So, what do you do when you're in that situation? And I've taught people to do that, and it's amazing how many people come back and go, "It's so simple. I feel like I've got something to say." You know,
If you think of that word before, how did we meet? So you got the last spot in a van sitting next to me. And I say to myself, I talk a lot to myself, I got a cowboy next to me. Who's that? That. I said, I got to talk to him. And we just, I asked you where you were from and stuff. And it ends up, now we're doing this and
Oh
everything.
yeah.
It's just a simple thing put before us. Don't lose the opportunity to
and
do something.
Well, and that's what I've really been talking about. Every cruise I've gone on, the people are so friendly, hospitable, everyone's talking to one another. I said, yeah, in quote, the real world, the non-cruise world, once you get off the ship, it's like that goes away. And I talk a lot about growing up in New Jersey and living in the South for my adult life. The hospitality and culture is extremely different. Up north is much colder personality wise, and physically, and the people are just rude, especially I mean I grew up in New Jersey, which is probably one of the least friendly states, so maybe I'm biased, but in general, the Northeast is pretty, you kind of mind your own business. Down south, it's a lot of waving and friendly. And nowadays, not as much as it used to be, just because society in general, like you mentioned, is getting closed off from communication. It's all, on the phone screens. And even then, it's mostly hateful content. But I think it's so interesting because working in suicide prevention, we always say a single conversation can change a life. And I, from a business perspective and from what I do is I network people and I meet one another and connect people with one another. You never know who knows who. So I never withhold conversation from anyone or from talking to someone because you never know what they're going through and what they might need from you, and you never know what they might have for you or for someone you know. And I think it can never hurt to know too many people, as long as they're, good people and aligned with what you're doing. But even if they're not aligned with what you're doing, if it's aligned with people then it's just another resource to have. I think, it's like saying, oh, you can never read too many books or watch too many shows because you're still, like you mentioned with the rainbows and the storms, as long as you're learning and taking something away from it, it's not going to harm you unless it's something harmful.
It's interesting because I've always had a mantra, if you're not growing, you're dying. Um, because I believe that it doesn't matter how old you are. My father at 87 learned to play Monopoly on the computer against other people.
Wow.
Okay. Yes. My mother's father at 84 decided to go to law school. He was one of the oldest people ever to attend law school. So learning is so important, but it's very interesting. I'll give you a little anecdote. We were in Paris and preconceived notion. We always tell people be careful of that. So we sat down next to a couple. She was wearing a headscarf. And my first thing is to move away. I don't know who they are. But being who we are, we just started talking to them. And it was this lovely, it was a brother and sister. And they were, she I think was starting college in, in Paris. And it was just everything you preconceived was totally wrong. And we had that again. We were in Alaska,
Oh, okay.
the cruise in Alaska. So again, there was a woman with a headscarf and wasn't sure. And what happened was her brother told her if she graduated college, he would take her on a cruise to Alaska. And so I'm thinking that's so inspiring that he thought enough of her education to make a deal with her that if she got her degree, she would then get this wonderful trip. And it shows you have to be careful about preconceived notions. Um, it's important. We all look at, Facebook and TikTok and Twitter and all that stuff and YouTube. And it's important to recognize that the one-on-one with people is so much more powerful than anything online because you don't know the perspective of people online. But when you can actually have a one-on-one with somebody and look into their eyes, it's sort of like when I was training young people to be staff and leadership. I would tell them, now the first thing you're going to do, I know you since you've been 4 years old. You're going to come in for an interview with me. I said, then I've known you. But if you don't walk in and look me straight in the eye, put out your hand, tell me your name, and shake mine, I won't hire you. I don't care if I've known you since you've been 4. People have lost the ability to have that communication. And I think it's so important. You can't get that from AI. You need a person, a face to face. And it is traveling has taught us so much. And you realize that everybody is born, everybody dies. Uh, what they do in the middle, it's amazing how many people share the same experience as you do. But you won't know unless you ask. So we've talked we also don't um, care whether somebody is a busboy or somebody is a CEO. Uh, we went to a Burger King. There's nothing near us for breakfast. We went to a Burger King.
Waiting to get on a train, actually.
Yes, a train from Northern Virginia down to Orlando. And this young kid, we're trying to figure out, the screen and figure out what we wanted, whatever.
Right,
And he
because you
comes
can't
over, he
order with a
goes,
real person anymore anywhere and nowadays.
that's right. So this young kid comes over, he says, can I help you? And so we say, he goes, I just basically want a cup of coffee and, we'll get a little bit else. And he goes, no problem. Here, let me get you a cup of coffee. Gives him a cup of coffee and then helps us with the thing. Now, we walked away, we sat down, eating our breakfast, and kid had a great smile. I called him over. I said, I just want to give you a little something. So I gave him a little tip. And I said, I'm doing this for a reason. I said, you have so much potential. You have potential because you listen and you help and you have a great smile. I said, you're going places in your life. Just keep those things with you. And he was just so shocked, you know. But again, was he the CEO? No. But who knows whether years later he's going to be a CEO just because we admired his traits, the things he was able to do without him spending a dime. So again, it's been so exciting meeting some of the people we've met. Um, uh, we went on. This was great. We were in Akaroa, New Zealand. Okay, which is magnificent. So we decided we're on a cruise, and we get off the cruise, and there's a little kiosk, and I think it said either $15 or $20 for a per person for a 3 hour boat ride. We went, okay, we'll do it. So we go up to the top, and there's supposed to be like 30 people on this, but there were only 15. And we're sitting there, and there's this couple with a young kid. Kid was 10. And she had this book, and she was looking at all of the wildlife. She was noticing birds and fish, and she'd go, "Oh, look, that's this fish. Oh, look, that's that bird." And then we started talking to them. Well, it turns out he's a Maori.
Well, I'm going to interrupt for a second.
Sure.
What happened we were on the top of the ship. And in New Zealand, you don't want to be in the sun a long time without protection. And the dad was an original Maori from the 1600s. He could trace back when they came over on the canoes and
Mm.
everything. And he said, "Do you have sunscreen on?" I said, "No." He said, "Here, you need sunscreen." I said, "No, it's okay." He didn't stop until I put his sunscreen on me and stuff. And then his daughter, and it was just an amazing cruise, what he taught us about the history of and stuff. And
Of New Zealand
but the daughter was amazing.
And the original Maoris, you know, the indigenous people to that land. And
Mm.
it was really, I mean, where would we have been that we would have had that kind of discussion in depth for 3 hours? This family was so fascinating. Um, and it wasn't about politics, it wasn't about religion, it wasn't about anything but people sharing with other people. Now he could have just sat there and enjoyed the cruise, right? Let him burn and do the cruise.
Right.
Uh, but instead, the gentleman chose to share the history of the place. It was the most informative, fascinating boat ride and excursion that we had ever done.
Seeing how he treated his wife and his daughter. I mean, it was just everybody's the same,
So
actually.
that was very cool. So we've had, it's like one story after another, one place after another we've been to where, you know, do we have mishaps? Sure, we have mishaps. We were in Barcelona and we realized we were about to take a train ride. We were going to do, and this was in October, we were doing 3 weeks traveling through Europe on trains. Well, we realized we had too much stuff and it was going to be hard to get it on and off of the train. So we talked to the hotel and they said, we can ship it to Southampton where you're going to get on
Oh
the,
no.
yeah, you got it. So it was it's 3 days beforehand. I called the company up. I said, so it's going to get here in 3 days, right? They said, actually, there was a problem. We went, what's the problem? Well, they have customs because it's no longer in the EU. I'm like, oh my God, so what are you going to do? He goes, I don't know. Your suitcase is here with all of our summer clothing because we had cold weather clothing because it was cold there. Well, it turned out that some friends of ours went back to that hotel. They picked up our suitcase and brought it back with us. We, of course, then
Wow.
had to go out and buy clothing because we're about to be on a cold weather, warm weather cruise going to Florida and had nothing with us.
Are worried about it coming back because it was on a Carnival cruise, and we thought our luggage would be drunk by the time it
Yes,
got.
our friends took it on a Carnival cruise,
A lot of alcohol.
but it was very funny. So, yeah, mishaps happen. He was trying to get off the train. The door started to close with him on the train and me off the
And one
train.
more bag of luggage. But the key, if people want to do this, is one, patience, and one, stay calm when it happens, because it's going to happen. I went on, I think we told you, I went into AFib on a celebrity cruise 2 days away in the Pacific from Honolulu. Stay calm. The cruise was great. And over time, everything's great. But don't, it's hard not to freak out, but really try to stay within yourself and everything. You'll think better of what to do.
One of the train rides we did, we named some of our bags. So the bag with medicine is called Trixie. It's a long story, but anyway. So Trixie has our refrigerated medication that we have. So that we have medication that's
It's
refrigerated.
insulated, there's injectables in there that and you can't replace them. Just easy.
So we go from the little waiting area to go get the ticket. And they had a little tram they brought us. And we get there and he's about to buy the ticket. And I go, oh, God, I left Trixie in the other room.
Well, we
And
don't know where Trixie
I
is.
left Trixie.
Somewhere.
So the guy brings us and we're looking all along the way to see if the thing is there. It's not there. We're freaking out. We get to the little waiting area and there it was. But in the meantime, it is about flexibility. It's about saying, okay, if he goes, if I have to deal without this medication for a few weeks, it'll be fine. If I have to do this. So doing this kind of stuff, it's about patience and flexibility. Uh, you we were going to go one place and it turns out that COVID was really bad in that place. And we went, you know what, let's go somewhere else. And it's not always easy. That's not the easiest thing to do.
Right.
But you then realize that, well, maybe it was meant to be. For whatever reason, we switched to this, and now we have this opportunity. Um, you always, my master's thesis was called Turning Lemon into Lemonade. So it's something I've always believed in. You can do it. It isn't easy. And that's, I think, the most important message. It isn't always about the easiest thing. It's about learning to really take your time, even when things are rushed and whatever. You take a breath and you go, okay, what are my options? And then you move from there. So
2 days ago, we got off the Apex again in Port Canaveral, and her cousins. There's unbelievable people. They take us to the port. They pick us up. They just love getting out. So when they came to pick us up, they didn't let it. We were the last off when we wanted to be, basically. So they didn't let anyone in the pickup aisle anymore. So
Oh,
I
wow.
thought I just saw your cousin. So she goes to across, and they said, "You go get him," and they wouldn't let him come back. So I had to take the suitcases. So I get over. I got all this, the two suitcases, the backpack. He opens the trunk. I'm putting it in. It's, oh my God, my backpack with everything in it that I really need, the drugs. I don't have it. So I go back, and it's again Bashir. There was a guy there who saw us and stuff the whole time we were all waiting. Kept an eye on that bag so people wouldn't take it. He told me, and I got back, and there it was again. So it's again, it's. I
you
don't know how
just
to explain it. You just
Well,
things will work out.
so the biggest
So,
thing that I think everyone wants to know, which is how do you do the budgeting? How do you plan so many trips? How do you figure it out financially? Is there some kind of secret calculator?
Yes.
Is one of y'all the calculator, or one of y'all the calculator?
So the key to this whole thing is one of the people doing it has to be very good. So I do nothing but carry the luggage. That's my job.
Pack the car.
Pack the car, unpack the car, and Cookie does everything.
So I don't know if you can see, but this is my spreadsheet. Everything is, this is from May 2022. It gives
Wow.
the which cruise, which hotel, which friends we stayed with. We actually share this with family and friends. Some don't even pay attention. Some will go, wait, aren't you supposed to be here? I'm going, yes, we are, but we just switched it. Look at the spreadsheet again. And then we have a separate spreadsheet that's finances. And so that one nobody sees. That's just the two of us.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and we use a lot of points. We follow the daily drop in the points guy, and a couple called the World Travel Adventurers.
Great couple. Travel with their kids all over the world since they're young.
Right. So we use that.
And they do podcasts out of it all the time.
Right.
That's how they get all that great stuff.
But it's sort of humorous. I mean, we don't always get the best place. We were in Paris. We ended we I didn't I don't know Paris enough. So we booked this place that was supposed to be really nice. Um, we get in and there's a bed, and next to the bed is a glass shower next to the bed and and the sink. And I'm going, where's the toilet? And there's this little teeny closet, and there's just a toilet in it. No closets, just that. And I went, this is different. It did, though, have a beautiful nighttime view of the Eiffel Tower. So you just don't know sometimes what you're going to do, but we did it with points.
But you have to learn something from it also. So what Cookie's going to do, or I help actually, is when we have to book something where we've never been, we're going to ask Chat GPT where this hotel is because we've had a few hotel issues.
I
One
can
was
imagine.
150, one was a hundred
200-year-old hotel.
150 French francs to get there by taxi, which was a lot of money.
$200 to get to the
15 minutes.
yes. So
Yeah,
you
no,
learn
thank
as you
you.
go
You
along.
have to, yeah.
I do sometimes try to take notes to put down like, okay, this was not a good idea. This was a good idea. I wish I'd done more of it. But I'll tell you one other interesting one. We were on a train so sometimes I'll do a figure on the map and go, well, let's go here. So we were going we wanted to see Switzerland. We saw Switzerland. And then I wanted to go from there to, well, we wanted to go through Paris, through London to Bath. That's in England. And I said, well, let's not stay in Paris for too long, just 2 nights there. Let's find a place to stay. We went, well, the train goes by Dijon. Okay, we're going to Dijon. And he went, okay. And on the train, we met this guy. And he starts telling us about, there's an owl in Dijon on a cornerstone. And everybody goes, and with their left hand, they touch the owl and they kiss it, and it's good luck. Make a
Huh.
wish. Make a
Okay.
wish. And he said, and there's these little brass triangles that have an owl in it. You could follow those all around the whole town, and it'll bring you to all the special spots.
Huh.
And so now, if we had not talked to the guy on the train, I don't think we would have known that. It seems like a local thing that they know about. But it was great. And that's again, it's about being willing to open yourself up. Look, do some people not want to talk to you? Sure. I will say most people, when we tell them we have no home, that we have a legal residence in Florida. We are legal residents of Florida. And we spend a lot of time in the Florida area. Like right now, we're in Pompano Beach at our timeshare. The timeshare helped us do all this. That was a big one because anytime we're on land, the timeshare is all over the country, even over the world. We have places to go to. So that helped a lot. And we try not to spend a lot on food. We will spend money on health. That's a real important one. If we need, an urgent care, we've been to urgent cares in New Zealand, Napier, New Zealand, and other places in the world. And
Right.
you have to know that that's a possibility. We have conversations, and this is real important, especially when you're our age. We have conversations with all of our doctors ahead of time. We talk about what medication should I take with me just in case. And they'll give us the medication. If you have a good doctor and they know you have issues, like I have breathing issues, they'll give me all the medication I need just in case. So that's a real important thing. You also want to make sure all your doctors know what's going on. So we go back to our doctors once every 3 to 6 months.
So what we do that's important. Like when we see them now, we make appointments for 3 months out. We don't even know what we're doing
Right.
because you always cancel it in time. We always have those appointments.
Just in
I think it's Thursday. We have
it's next week.
next week. We have 4 doctor appointments in one
The
day.
first week in January. But yeah.
Right. You got to
And
stack
then,
them.
oh yeah, we stack them. And then the other one is I have a spreadsheet that has all my medical information. And I share it with my kids and with him. It has my blood type, it has all the medications I'm on, the surgeries I've had. That's important. We do something called MedJet. We have lots of medications, but a lot of them are for just emergency purposes only.
Right.
We have something called MedJet. I think it's $1,100 for 3 years for 2 people, and you will get airlifted anywhere in the world. And that's important to have. You really need to have a good conversation with your insurance company, your health insurance. Find out if they cover in certain areas. Some have like ours has an international insurance thing. So we automatically get covered. But it's about doing that ahead of time to prepare. We don't like to fly, so we cruise just about everywhere. If we have to fly, we deal with it. But we take our time. That's not always available to people. We went to a wonderful seminar. I forget, I think it was on the Apex.
Yeah,
On the Apex coming back, talking about what 3 words. I don't know if you ever heard of that one.
Well, the reason we went, these people lived on a sailboat for 6 years. So we just had to hear their story. And their story included all these apps they have. And if you heard of the one Cookie just mentioned, what 3 words? You should look it up. Somebody who created this app divided the world into 3 square meters places. And each those 3 square meters have 3 words dedicated to them. And no 3 exact words are anywhere else in the world. And now EMS, emergency medical people are using it for people. One of their stories was a couple were hiking and the guy fell down 20 feet and he couldn't move. I think he broke his leg or something. And she called 911. She had service. And they asked her, do you have my 3 words? And she did. Within 2 minutes, they were there.
The helicopter.
They know exactly where that grid is. Because they just put those 3 words in. So we use it when we get off the cruise ship now. Because we forget sometimes to take pictures of where we are, stuff like that. It gives us the 3 words right where we have to be. And we go out, and then we put those 3 words in, a compass comes up and takes us right back and stuff.
So it's if I'm understanding correctly, it's just a more simple way for people to understand longitude without all the
Basically,
without all the numbers and complications. It's just here's a word.
it, it's 3 words. You hit it, and you do it. It's a totally free app. We actually downloaded 3 to 4 apps they told us about. We never heard of.
Hmm.
One is great. It's called Flush.
Can you imagine what that one's for?
I don't want to ask.
It's on the bathroom
Bathroom
anywhere in the
anywhere
world.
in the world. And let me tell you,
Wait till
because
you get older.
and then the other one is Hotspot. I forget the name of that app, but it shows you all of the Wi-Fi's anywhere where you are. It won't give you some will actually give you the password, but most of them will just give you where there's free Wi-Fi,
Right.
where you have to pay for Wi-Fi and stuff like that. But it's very interesting. Um, the other thing is we're always learning. And that's, again, it's so important to recognize that it doesn't matter whether somebody's older or younger than you. Uh, Everyone can have something, some takeaway when you talk to them. And so, again, it's all about sharing with people, getting that physical interaction with people because you never know what's going to save your own life. You just never know. Um, and then, so that's one of the other things is, being prepared with that. One of the things we travel with is something called a Morphe. You know what those are?
The
Uh,
battery
it's a
charger.
battery charger. It's about
Oh,
the
okay.
size of my phone, a little smaller. It can fit in my pocket. It holds a longer charge than the phone does. So that if you're somewhere and your phone is dying and there's no plug, you can plug that in and that'll keep you going
Yeah.
for another like 10
And
hours.
there's 5 different types of plugs on it. You just
Right. Um, we're lucky because a lot of the places we go to have laundry services. People are like, where do you do your laundry? I'm like, well, what we do is a lot of the cruise ships, we can get free laundry because we stay with the same company a lot. All of our timeshares have free laundry in them. So we just, there are times we got on a cruise ship and we have 2 full bags of laundry from traveling through Europe where there was nothing. And we said, okay. We learned that in Europe, they don't have refrigerators in the room.
Oh, wow.
So,
That's
yeah,
unfortunate.
yeah, yeah.
if
Yeah.
you're carrying drugs, you have to be in
Refrigerated.
refrigerator,
So they'll refrigerate it for you, but you have to know to ask for that.
and you have to make sure they don't freeze it. We had one freezer drugs.
Yeah, that
Right.
was not a good thing. So those are some of the great things that we learned along the way. Um, you know, we're perfectly happy doing inside rooms. Some people can't
Some
do
people need their
inside rooms.
balcony. Yeah, I know.
Yep.
Some people want to get that balcony, but it costs a lot more money. So, my thing is, at least with me, with how social and interactive I am, I mean, I barely spend time in the room to begin with.
No
I
one
just there
spends
to
time in there.
sleep. Just
No,
and there's so many outdoor lounge areas and stuff like that, and you could. I don't think it's worth the money. Now, if you're just going on a cruise for vacation, then by all means treat yourself to a balcony. But to do it as much as y'all do, which I have to ask, how many cruises have y'all been on?
well, last year, not in a row, we were at 200 days at sea. So Cookie, so like,
I've done 90 cruises and he's done 71.
but I've done 71 only since
17.
2017. We had COVID for 2 years at
A
least.
year. A year we had it
Where it
was
was closed.
yeah. But a
So,
year and a half, I guess. But yeah, so we've done a lot of cruises. And some, I mean, one was 20 some are 26-day cruises, you
Like
know.
the transatlantic ones?
Not transatlantic are usually about
12 to
13,
14.
14 days.
Mm.
This was Trans-Pacific. We did from San Francisco to Sydney, Australia. That was
26
26
Oh,
days.
that's
days.
interesting. That's
A lot of sea days. We had a few stops, but we don't care. Sea days are great.
Right.
Everyone's by the pool if it's good weather, which a lot of times it's not. But yeah, there's
yeah,
always
that's how it
something to
always
do.
seems to be. Is like my last cruise. rain, rain, rain when we're on the beach in port. And then as soon as the ship's about to, disembark from the port, suddenly it's bright sun and gorgeous weather. And it's like, what's the whole port call? The sun was hiding, and it hurts us and it hurts all the vendors as well to that
The
degree.
vendors
It's
for
like
sure.
every time I went to go use the pool, it was raining. And every time I was doing an event, I would look outside and it was like gorgeous out. And I was like, of course, come on.
We've learned they're there to take care of you, the crews. They're not the captain's not going to do something stupid. He tried twice to
Uh,
dock at Turks and Caicos.
no, Bimini,
Oh, Bimini, right?
Bimini.
And well, it was 40 knot winds, so he's not going to do it. And we missed some ports we really wanted to go to, but it was too dangerous. You can't you can't get upset at those things. They're small things, really. And I know some people just do one cruise a year and this is it. But if you can't take some of these things, you shouldn't be cruising. You should be flying somewhere. Even then, you could have stuff, and you just it is what it is. We're not in control.
Yeah, I've
For
had
me,
more mishaps flying than cruising, so I think I'll stick to cruising. I
I can't take airports anymore.
I
And the
can't
people,
either.
it's something happens to the people when they walk into an airport or get on a plane. To me, it's insanity.
So we were on one cruise. We were meeting friends.
Yeah.
Very good in Montenegro. Well, we're outside of Montenegro. We get this message: 50-mile-an-hour winds. We aren't stopping in Montenegro. There was what's called a bomb cyclone.
Across the U.S. all the way to Europe, and we missed a couple of ports there. But
Lisbon, we were meeting another couple, and we totally bypassed Lisbon, went right down to Canary Island. Well, we had never been to the Canary Islands. So,
okay,
well, it's cool. And it's about
making
lemon out of lemonade, lemonade out of lemon. One we always laugh. We were in Clearwater a lot. My parents lived in St. Petersburg, Florida. I love the area. Clearwater was my mother's favorite, just favorite beach. You'll see these people who are here on vacation. It's 45, 50 degrees, and they're in that water. And I'm sitting there going, they paid for that water. It could be raining, it could be
Hmm.
almost frost. They're going to get in that water because they're in Florida. And by the way, I think I told you, I know Savannah is your home, whatever. And
My
Savannah was
purgatory.
my mother's favorite place in the world was Savannah. She loved it. What's that?
coal. Good.
AAA? Well,
Back. I got issues with AAA.
yeah. So, but a lot of this is about when to learn to do things cheaper and when to learn not to. And so
Mm.
that's part of this. You know, um, you can't ever scrimp on your medical stuff. Never. That's like whatever it is, always have a credit card with you that can handle if you need to, if you need an emergency. Have an emergency backup like this MedJet. Okay. And it's not only for older people, because one of my friends in her 40s, she had something and she had to be airlifted. So it depends. Um,
We have a post-it right on the door when we go out here. She puts it on when we get here. Check the safe. We've left stuff in the safe a few times. Make sure you have your drugs. And there was this one,
the Roku.
and we carry a Roku. Now that's
Yeah.
nice. So when we go to hotels, we can watch what we like on TV and stuff. And they got they got everything on Roku, and it's great. So we do that. But there's a post-it right there.
On the door that I made copies of it. Uh, One other thing I like to do, I take, address labels and I put on all the same, our address, I make a couple sheets of it, and I put our phone number on it. so that
Right.
when I go to put the information on the luggage tag, I just snap it right on. Write in on every single thing.
Mm.
Uh,
It's helpful, and people can read it.
yes, my handwriting is horrible, so you're not going to read my handwriting anyway. Um, the other thing is I always carry laundry soap with me because you never know. You get that one shirt that you really like and you get something on it, you know, and take care of it there and not have to deal.
On cruise ships, all the walls inside your room are magnetic. So we bring magnets with us.
Yeah.
So we can hang things up there that we use all the time, or some cruise ships, the inside cabins don't have a lot of celebrity. I'll push them. Luckily, it's amazing.
Their inside cabins are huge.
Yeah,
So again, it's about that flexibility. It's about planning. It's also about the impromptu of it too. We'll go somewhere and we'll go, why don't we try this? Um, wasn't quite, we were in Bath. We were only going to spend 2 nights there, 3 nights. And we were talking to the woman at the front desk. And she said, well, where are you going after? I said, to Southampton.
for the cruise back.
She goes, only spend the night there, or not even, because it's not a great place.
She was from there.
She was from Southampton. She said, spend the extra nights here. So we switched
Right.
things around, did our points, spent the nights there
And
instead.
we asked them where should we eat. It was somewhere we could walk right to. It was an Italian restaurant. He was the chef was trained in Greece and
Italy.
Italy. We ate there 5 nights in a row, something
Huh.
different every night, even pizza one night, and
Wow.
amazing and inexpensive. And so you could find nice things by asking people.
Yeah, that's again, it has to do with talking to people.
Don't be afraid.
Don't be afraid to talk to people, even if it's another language.
They have translators on your phone.
Right. I had a whole conversation with a guy in Greece
Who
who
was
was from Albania.
Hmm.
He's from Albania, and he typed stuff in to his Google app, and he'd explain to me where something, and I'd type back to him in my Google app, and we would talk back and forth like this. So
Yeah.
use your phone, don't abuse your phone. Use
Right.
it for pictures, things like that. Um, I also suggest keeping location on for pictures because we'll be somewhere and I'll say, have we ever been here before? It doesn't look like something I remember. And I type in the name of the place and no pictures come up. And then I go, oh, we haven't been here before.
Mm.
So, um, yeah. Do you have any other questions for us?
No, for this episode in particular, we'll end things here. I mean, I know you two have a lot to talk about, but I think this is great to summarize. One of the things you talked about the most is asking questions, having conversation, just human connection. Obviously, for medical and health, take care of what you need to. And then I think researching, of course, but most importantly, I think like even just talking to y'all, I know about some apps, but I think it's easier now than ever to travel. I think with all the technology and all these new apps, and there are Facebook groups dedicated to traveling, there are, LinkedIn pages and all kinds of accounts. I know that there are accounts for each cruise ship and each individual like cruise, and so there's a lot of information out there. You just have to do the research, and I hope that this has inspired people to travel around. Like you said, I think one of the most important things you said, in my personal opinion, is know when to cheap out and when not, because sometimes you end up spending more money taking care of something that you try to cheap out on. And then I think sometimes it's better to just spend a little more money up front or into something
Yeah,
and have an overall nicer quality time. So really that comes back to doing your research wisely. And again, nowadays with technology, it's easier than ever before to do research. And then there's also people like you that we can talk to people who have traveled before. I know when I was on the cruise, there was a lot of people who had never been on a cruise before, and they were asking me, and I was like, I've only been on two other ones, but I could answer all their questions. So always ask people around you. for advice if you haven't done it before and they have. But I want to thank you two so much for coming on the show today, catching you in between your travels, and just to leave us entertained. Where are you off to next?
The Norwegian Aqua for New Year's Eve cruise with friends she met on a cruise ship 9 years ago. And we're like, they're
Yep.
like sisters now, actually. And you don't know what's going to happen, really, where it's going to go. They're the most incredible couple, these people. And they travel way more than us.
He travels a lot for business, so. But anyway, yeah, and then we don't plan more than about 2, 3 months out. Uh, but we know we want to go back to Europe. We just haven't gotten that far in the planning yet.
Alrighty, well,
So
2026, we'll see where the adventures of Bob and Cookie go.
Hopefully, we'll
absolutely
be on a cruise ship with you again, Mr. Whiskey.
Hopefully so.
great,
Hopefully so.
great to
Thanks.
meet you. So thank you.
Take care.